Hello everyone. Before diving into today's topic, we want to take a moment to thank you for your support. Every like, comment, and subscription truly makes a difference and helps this channel grow. If you enjoy our content and don't want to miss upcoming videos, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all updates. What truly makes us alive, conscious, capable of loving, suffering, imagining, intuiting invisible realities? It is a mystery that has always run through human history, a question that concerns us all, that touches the depths of our existence and our thinking. In a world governed by the laws of science, our inner experience often seems to elude any form of classification. Yet, every emotion, every reflection, every intuition speaks to us of something deeper, of something that goes beyond the chemical reactions in our brain. But what is this thing we perceive with absolute certainty, and yet escapes us every time we try to grasp it? If consciousness is solely the product of our brain, if every thought and feeling is just the result of billions of electrical impulses flowing between neurons, then what are we really? Are we just thinking matter, or is there something more, something that moves within us? For centuries, these questions have remained confined to the realms of philosophy and religion, as if science could not address them without compromising its own credibility. But today, the frontiers of modern physics, especially quantum mechanics, seem to be opening up new horizons. Science, far from closing off these questions, is actually bringing to light aspects of the universe that seem to speak the same language as our inner world. When we observe the world on a microscopic scale, the classical laws of physics, which have always governed our understanding of reality, stop working. Particles no longer behave like concrete objects, but like waves of probability, as if they don't truly exist until someone observes them. And, ironically, it is precisely this observation that makes the difference. The simple act of looking at a phenomenon, of measuring it, changes the reality we are observing. This is one of the most fascinating and mysterious paradoxes of quantum physics. And what if reality were influenced by the observer? What if consciousness were, in fact, a force capable of altering the structure of the universe, not just a reaction to matter, but something real, active, participating in the very creation of reality? If consciousness is capable of influencing what surrounds us, then it cannot be an illusion, nor a biological epiphenomenon, but something that emerges from a higher order, that transcends and includes us at the same time. Many theoretical physicists are now beginning to glimpse a revolutionary perspective. Consciousness might not just be the product of the human brain, but a fundamental property of the universe itself. In this scenario, the human body is no longer seen as a biological machine performing automatic functions, but as a complex energetic system, a sensitive antenna that receives and transmits information to and from a broader field, unseen but real. If we consider that everything in the universe is made up of quanta, and that quanta are pure energy, then we too are energy, not in a metaphorical sense, but literally. Our physical body is simply the densest and most visible form of this energy, but beneath the skin, behind the eyes, beyond the brain, there is a vibrational field that flows through us and connects us with everything that exists. Some researchers working on the edge between science and consciousness argue that, according to quantum physics, what we perceive as solid matter is nothing more than nearly empty space, crossed by force fields and waves of probability. The particles that make up every object, every living being, do not have a defined position until they are measured. This implies that reality is not independent of the observer. Consciousness comes into play in this context because it is not measurable in the traditional sense. It is not a physical object, but it is necessary for something to exist in a defined way. Reality needs consciousness to emerge, to materialize, to be. This statement, once considered pure speculation, is now finding space in significant scientific publications. Not as an absolute truth, but as a possibility, a hypothesis worth exploring. And more physicists, venturing beyond the boundaries of matter, are beginning to confront consciousness not as a poetic metaphor, but as a real and fundamental component of the cosmos. Some even go so far as to hypothesize that the universe itself is a vast evolving consciousness, exploring itself through its creatures and knowing itself through experience. In this new paradigm, the soul is no longer a religious or spiritual concept, but a possible manifestation of universal intelligence. It is a spark of embodied consciousness, an individual portion of a broader field that some call collective consciousness, others unified field, and still others universal mind. Whatever name is given to it, the idea remains the same. We are not just physical bodies, but centers of awareness, deeply interconnected with everything that exists. This does not imply a denial of biology or brain function, but rather a vision that goes beyond. It means recognizing that the brain, with all its extraordinary abilities, may not be the creator of consciousness, but its instrument, its translator, its vehicle. Just as a radio does not create music, but tunes into an existing frequency, so the human mind may simply pick up and modulate a consciousness that precedes and transcends it. Supporting this vision are the studies of researchers like Stuart Hameroff and Roger Penrose, who proposed the theory of orchestrated objective reduction, OR. According to this theory, consciousness is not the result of synaptic activity, but arises from quantum phenomena occurring in microtubules, tiny structures found inside neurons. These microtubules, traditionally considered merely structural elements, could host complex quantum processes capable of creating states of coherence and superposition, similar to those observed in subatomic particles. When these states collapse not randomly, but in an orchestrated way, conscious experience is generated. Although this theory has not yet been definitively confirmed, it is opening new paths for understanding the human mind. In this perspective, the boundary between science and spirituality is becoming increasingly thin, not because science becomes religion, but because both are beginning to speak a similar language. A language made of vibrations, of fields, of flowing information that organizes and integrates itself into a larger design. Words like soul and spirit, which for centuries were considered purely symbolic, are regaining a concrete meaning, referring to something real that we can feel, explore, and live, even with the tools of science and mathematics. When we delve into the heart of matter, we realize that there is no longer a clear distinction between observer and observed, between inside and outside, between consciousness and reality. Every particle responds to a vibration that transcends it. Every form hides an energy structure that pulses and reorganizes. Words once used only by poets are now borrowed by physics to describe phenomena that once seemed inaccessible. Theoretical physicists speak of morphic fields, quantum coherence, entanglement between living systems and inanimate objects, of a reality that manifests only when it is lived. In this fluid landscape, the idea that consciousness might exist independently of the brain is no longer heresy, but a concrete possibility, studied, measured, simulated. And so it happens that what has been intuited for millennia through mystical experience is now supported by calculations and experimental models. And what does it mean to live in a universe where consciousness is not a product, but a cause? Not a consequence, but a condition? It means that every living being is part of a single intelligent network, that every thought, action, emotion of ours is intertwined with that of every other creature in the universe. The separation between I and you, between us and the universe, begins to dissolve. Consciousness is no longer an exclusive property of human beings, but a quality that permeates everything, a way of being of the universe itself. We are not just spectators of a world unfolding. We are participants, actors, and co-creators of a reality in constant evolution. The future of science could, therefore, hold a completely new vision of the cosmos, where the mystery of consciousness is no longer a question without an answer, but a key to understanding the entire order of creation.